LV Journal back in our video today. This is my Parramatta Eels 2020 NRL season review. So hopefully you enjoy this review. The Eels this year in 2020 came fourth and made the top four, which is a good achievement, and they had finished the year with about, I think it was 16 wins and eight losses, I'm pretty sure, something like that. But yeah, the Eels had another good year. And yeah, this is going to be my review on their 2020 season in general, so let's get into it. So I think that in 2020 the Eels had another awesome year. I thought the Eels had a really good year. Obviously some people had their doubts that maybe 2019 was just that year that they really went well and overachieved, and then 2020 kind of failed. That's what some people thought, but I think the majority of people thought that they'll win the premiership. I think around maybe late December 2019 and maybe early January this year, everyone was tipping them to win the premiership because they had a great spine like Clint Gutherson, Dylan Brown, who's just become such a good player for the Eels team, Mitchell Moses and Reid Marnie, and they got a great forward pack with Junior Paulo. And the addition of Ryan Madison there, and Regan Campbell-Gillard, who's obviously one of the most improved players this year. But I think that look, at the start of the year, the Eels were on absolute fire at the start of the year. They were just like, no one could beat them at that stage. Like, they won about how many games in a row? Just sorry if I get it wrong here, but you can try and correct me in the comment section down below, but I think they won about 7 or 6 games in a row or something, maybe a bit more. I can't exactly remember, but they went really well. The Eels had a good winning run, and I think that the winning run ended when they lost to the Roosters at Bankwest, 24 points to 12. And even though they lost, they were very courageous in that game. They actually played pretty strongly, even though they lost. And then they had a win. I think it was against the Cowboys after, and then I think then not long after, they had a shock loss to Manly, losing 22 points to 18, and it just looked a bit concerning there for Parramatta, that loss, when Manly didn't have, had all these players out, and so that's when the fall for the Eels kind of started, when they lost to Manly. Then, I mean, they were good for parts of the season, but then they just kind of dropped off a little bit. But I think that overall, this 2020 is a success for the Eels, I think, yet again. And I mean, making the top four for the first time since 2017, that's a pretty good thing. But they just can't get past the semi-finals. Like, I mean, they win their qualifier for the first week, and then they go to the second week, and they always lose the second week. Like, they just can't make it to week 3. The Eels they just can't do it for some reason. But I think that they are making a bit of changes for 2021. Like, they're getting rid of some players that they don't think that are part of a winning sort of team, and they've recruited Isaiah Papali'i, Michael Oldfield, Joey Lassie from England, and I think that Tom Obichik, and I think these are okay signings, but none of them are top signings and all that. But I mean, I guess that they can be alright depth for some of those players, or some players will come in their side. But I think overall the Eels were pretty good in 2020. It's just that they still have a little bit of inconsistency in them. They just I mean, you can tell that at around the start of the season they were just the best informed team in the comp, along with Penrith. But I think that at the time Parramatta were definitely better than Penrith around the start of the year, and then they kind of collapsed a little bit around round 15 or round 14, the Eels, in my opinion. But I mean, they're still a good team, and they really are a team that can put a big score on you when they're good. Like, on their day, the Eels can put possibly a 40 points to 6 scoreline or something, for example, or even more. That's when Parramatta on their day. But I think that when they're off, they just get kind of clapped pretty easily. I think some examples are that against the Rabbitohs, I think many people are tipping them to beat Rabbitohs in that Bankwest game, not the finals one, but in the regular season game, around 2022 or something, and they lost 38-0, and that was a big shock, and just goes to show you there's still that inconsistency amongst that team somewhere. So they've got to sort that out, the Eels, for 2021, because if they don't, it's going to be the same old year, just maybe having another good start, then around the middle of the season they just collapse, I guess. So they got to fix the inconsistency there, the Eagles. Um, but I think they should have another good year in 2021. But I don't know. There's some concern about the Eagles because it just depends how much that Michael Jennings situation kind of affects them. And I think they do have some good replacements for Jennings if he doesn't come back. They got, I mean, Brad Sagaraghi's gone, which is a bit of a strange one how they got rid of him. But obviously they got, but I think they got, and I mean, Tagaraghi's a good player, but I don't know if he was going to be the greatest replacement for Michael Jennings. But, I mean, apparently the after Brent Naden and there's talks that they're looking at Tony Staggs as well, the Eels. So that's some targets right there for the Eels. But and they got Hayes Dunster, who's a young Eels player, and apparently goes all right. So we'll see what happens with the whole Michael Jennings situation. Apparently the thing about his alleged drug thing is going to come up soon. You're going to see whether he did do it or not. But I just think that situation could affect the Eagles a little bit. Having like it just depends how long that Michael Jennings situation with the drugs scandal goes for, and just see that affects the team down the track. But I think that the Eagles should have another good year in 2021, and they've had a good year in 2020, but they just got to, I think, fix a bit of their inconsistency, because their inconsistency is really bad, I think. But as a team, they are a very dangerous team in their day. They can put a lot of points on you, that's for sure. And yeah, I think it's been a successful year for the Eagles, but they do collapse around the end of the year in finals, so they just got to fix that. But my star player for the Eagles in 2020 goes to Clint Gutherson. I think that's no brainer. I think Clint Gutherson's has had his best year yet in the NRL. I think he's just been so good for them. I think that he's just I mean, he's won fullback of the year for a reason, Clint Gutherson in 2020, because he's been consistent. He's always in the game. He doesn't like ever become a shadow and be nowhere. He's always in the game. Like you know he's just a player who puts in week out effort. Um, and plus, he's a good captain as well for the Eagles. He's a good speaker to the referee. Like if the referee makes a wrong decision, Clint Gutherson's like always makes good statements and a good reason why that call was like wrong. And yeah, I think he makes some very smart points about what he says to the referees, Clint Gutherson. So he's a good talker as well, and he's just a great player, Clint Gutherson. But I don't really agree with how he's been called King Guff. I don't agree with that. I think the real king is Wally Lewis, in my opinion. But I think Gutherson's a good player, but he's not a king yet. But yeah, it's a no-brainer. Gets my star player of the year because I think he's had his best year yet at the Eels, and he's been a definite force for them in 2020. So I expect him to go one better in 2021. I expect him to have another pretty decent year. I mean, in State of Origin game one, he didn't do the best because he's not a centre. But I think that the reason why he played centre for the Blues was because a bit of a just some sort of good year gift or something, because he deserves to make the team after the year he's had. So, but let's see if he bounces back in game two for State of Origin in the centres, because he didn't have the best game in the centres. But he's a good player and he should be better for game two, I reckon. But Clint Gutherson gets my star player of the year. He's just had a really good year. And my worst player, I think my worst player, unfortunately, is a good player on his day, but he's had a disappointing year in terms of like less impact in the game, less involvement, and not getting much tries, and that's Blake Ferguson. I think Blake Ferguson is my worst player of the year. He just doesn't, I think this year he doesn't look very motivated, and he just doesn't get involved enough. Whether it's because there's no quality ball given to him, I don't know, but I just don't think I don't think he's had a very good year, and I think many people would agree with this. He's had a very bad year. I mean, you could say Mitchell Moses, but I didn't go with Mitchell Moses as my worst player for the Eels because he has had a very good year. I think at the start of the year he was definitely one of the top halfbacks in the NRL and definitely in contention to win the Daily M. But I mean, he did fall Mitchell Moses around the end of the year. He just collapsed in the around the finals period at Mitchell Moses. But overall in the season, Blake Ferguson gets my worst player of the year. He just hasn't done enough to. I think he deserves to keep his place on the wing, but he hasn't done enough to earn back his New South Wales Origin wing spot, and he's lost that to Daniel Tupou. And I don't think he's done enough to really convince Eels that he should be staying at the Eels for 2021 and beyond. I think that, and I saw that the Eels might get rid of him after 2021, maybe just use someone else, because I think Ferguson's had his day, but he's a good finisher on the wing. He's a freakish finisher on the wing when he gets the ball, but I think he's had his day, Blake Ferguson, and I think that just maybe it's the end of sorry, not Gufferson, Ferguson. I think it's the end of Ferguson, um, but I think that he's just had a very quiet year. I think he's been too quiet, Blake Ferguson, and we'll see if he bounces back in 2021. He's a good player, and he should, should have a decent year next year, because he's a class player on his day, Blake Ferguson. But I mean, 2020 is probably one of his worst years that I've experienced of him. I don't know. I don't know if he should move back into the centres, since there's no Michael Jennings, possibly for a while, or just kind of has to try and be a better winger next year. But yeah, he gets my worst player regardless, Blake Ferguson, for the year for the Eels. My surprise packet player of the year award. I mean, there was no Eels players that really surprised me in 2020. But if I had to go with one, I think Jay Field gets it for mine. I think he did better than expected. I think Jay Field did better than expected, actually filling in for Mitchell Moses when he was injured during the year, and Dylan Brown when he was down. Um, yeah, Jay Field's a pretty safe player, and it's unfortunate for the Eels now that he's going to Wigan Warriors next year in the Super League in England with Jay Field, because Jay Field's a decent backup player. That's for sure. He's a really good player, Jay Field. I remember in that Cowboys game this year, Banquest, he had one of the best games yet of his career, and yeah, I think it's a bit disappointing that he's leaving the Eels, but I think that if he wants to get more opportunities, he definitely deserves it, because he looks good as a player, Jay Field, and I think he's done a very good job for the Eels this year when Mitchell Moses has been gone, and yeah, he's done better than expected, actually filling in. I didn't think he'll do much, but he has done a lot. Not like a ton lot, but he's done like quite a bit for the team in terms of his game management when there was no Moses, and possibly no Dylan Brown during the year. So yeah, I think Jay Field definitely gets my surprise packet player of the year. Did better than expected filling in. So but yeah, this is my 2020 Parramatta Eels season review. I hope you enjoy. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. But before I end the video, my crystal ball for the Eels for 2021. I expect the Eels have another successful year in 2021, but I mean, I still raise concerns about the inconsistency and just the Michael Jennings situation, how that goes down the track, if that affects them or not. But regardless, I think Eels should have another successful year in 2021. But guys, that's my review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, and see you next video of my Penrith Panthers season reviews, guys. See you then.